cost of building will go up. Right? So we can see a certain thing will trigger the entire chain. Now, for us in the company, we should not be wasteful. We should have cost-conscious culture, the mindset that look for value on an ongoing basis. So cost is not that you review once a year, it's a continuous revision. Okay? What can be reduced, okay? Without stinging. So you have to don't cut the quality down, but instead of one-time cost reduction drive. So it's a continuous business cycle. So every cycle, we analyze the cost. So every batch of clothing, also we will look at the cost. Every batch of material, we look at the cost. Every batch of product, every batch of services, we look at the cost. So a cultural shift is more than improve procedure. It requires change in our attitude. So a lot of people, they don't care. Our staff, who cares about cost? It's my boss problem. It's a boss problem? No, it's a company's problem. It's everyone's problem. So the attitude is so important. It's a cultural thing, right? So cost competitive. So to produce a given quality product at the lowest possible margin. So we have to relook into entire operation. Otherwise, we will be out of business. Okay, so we should not be dropping price temporarily. We should be looking at long-term sustainable. Okay, so it's very important. So if you look carefully at business costs, there's a thing called direct costs. Okay, or things that are affected by the things that we do. So labor expense, material, all these costs, this is directly. So things that we use in the whole production is direct costs. Okay? So indirect costs could be the environment, trace back to a certain item. Like indirect costs to the car comes from the rare earth. Nowadays, because we use hybrid cars and also electric cars, and they affect battery. So car battery is a major component now. So it just will affect the car price. So it is indirect costs, right? So in the case of Apple, okay, so electricity can be considered indirect cost because to prepare the surface of the sapphire, the glass, the sapphire, so use a lot of electricity, right? So sometimes we have to look at the cost. It's not the material cost. It's not just the screen or the sapphire, but indirect cost because of electricity, right? Now, fixed costs. Now, it's interesting because fixed cost is something that would not be changed even if you do not do production. So it's the fixed overhead. So usually time-based. What's time-based? For example, rental. You rent a place, you produce nothing, you still have to pay rent. Okay? Salary of supervisor or back-end office, like one of the biggest problem that we face when we are doing this health company, we call the Sans Therapeutic. We have a back end that's very huge. We have a accounting department that's big, and all this we call the back end. So the salaries are fixed. During COVID, when there's no operation, the salaries is also fixed. So one thing you realize about fixed costs is during this lockdown, when there's no operation, you still pay rent, you still pay salary. Okay, maybe it's a half salary, maybe it's a reduced rent, but it's still you have to pay. And depreciation goes on. So these are fixed costs. Okay. So, for example, maybe it is important that we understand that most of fixed costs, like a phone subscription, you subscribe to a phone or maybe to a cable TV, even you do not watch it, you have to pay. What's a variable cost? Now, variable costs actually move and fluctuate with the level of production. So the more you produce, the more it changes. So this may have like the direct costs. Most of the direct costs are also variable costs. So usually it's good for us to have a business that is a low fixed cost. Hashtag prefer low fixed costs. Okay, hashtag high variable costs is okay. Right, a good business is when we acquire a company, when we retool the company, we try to reduce the fixed costs. Okay, and then it is okay to have variable costs because there's actually a request, okay, for production. Then we do it. So for many people in service industry, right, for example, let's say architect, my salary, I use a lot of part-timer and also freelancers. So I only have 8 staff that's permanent. So every time there's a project, the salary has become a variable cost. Now, when we want to reduce the fixed cost, what do? We try to use co-working space. We try to use work from home. You reduce the fixed cost. So work from home is good because you reduce fixed cost, but variable cost is still there. We will do project. So maybe now we outsource. Why do we outsource? Because we don't want the salary to be a fixed cost. We want to change the salary to become variable cost. So that's why we outsource. When there's no project, there's no salary. When there's a project, there's salary. So salary to convert from fixed cost to variable cost, what do? We move them into outsourcing, business process outsourcing that will reduce all this sort of place. And BPO sometimes also have an advantage because the BPO allow us to cut down the office rental. So in total, we work with all these contractors. So Richard is correct. Okay, when we outsource to all these contractors, so they are just like a supply chain. So we reduce them into variable costs. Operating costs, costs that derive from operation. Now there's a lot of overlap here between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So operating costs, for example, include those utilities for machinery plants. We rent the plant. For example, in the postpartum care after the childbirth, when there's a mother come in with a baby, the baby may have jaundice. Okay, they turn yellow. So what do? We have to call this guy who bring a machine to shine the baby. Okay, to let the baby have this UV, right? And that is actually a cost, right? So cost as well the everyday transaction and also to do with that, right? So you can see there's a lot of operating costs with the machinery that's required, the plant, right? So there's operating costs like excavator. For me, I'm a construction guy, so I use a lot of excavator and also the hole and also the maybe a lot of machineries that we use. So when we have a project, this will create operating costs. Product and product period costs is quite important. For example, let's say we have a rush. We have the rush for mooncake festival. So one of my friends, he produced mooncakes. And that was the only festival once a year. But he told me that just doing mooncake festival is God, mooncakes we ate are 6 months old. Yeah, I'm not joking. So he's producing them in March, April, May, June, July. And the peak is to sell it in August and September, right? So there is a period that he produce, right? And you can see from the accounting point of view, you realize that we accumulate some inventory, right? And then suddenly offtake by quite a lot of people. So there's a value inventory. So we need to understand, okay, some of these things will be power up, right? Before you go. Now, the danger is this, when you do things like this, if not, you're going to have if you do not plan and hedge, we call resource leveling, you're going to have a lot of overtime nearer to the festival, right? Now, Christmas is a period. Now we have a problem. In California, at the port, the containers are piling up. Why? The ship are not loaded fast enough. At 5 o'clock, boom, everybody stop work, right? Although the container has not been unloaded. Okay, so you're going to have a periodic increase. Now in Malaysia, school start in January, primary school. And what happened? You can see people shopping like crazy in December for clothing for the kids, stationery, the shoes, and all the things you need to prepare for school, right? It was school holiday. Of course, December is school holiday in Malaysia. But then you can see a periodic rush. And this will contribute to cost for care business. Any care business, so for like elderly care, maternity care, and so on. Festival in Malaysia, there are so many festivals. You have this Eid, you have Chinese New Year, you have Christmas, you have Diwali, okay, and all these festivals plus all the other minor festivals, you are going to have over time, and all this will create a periodic cost. Okay, opportunity cost. Now this is something that we give up. For example, the opportunity cost for me strikes me a lot, especially the last month. In 2016, I invested 1.35 million into a construction firm. Okay, I'm quite lucky because I invested quite cheap. I invested 2 rounds, the first round and the second round. So I spent 1.35 million. Now this firm is going for IPO, and I probably will have about 12 million of shares. Okay, so over the 6 years, so my 1.35 million has become 12 million. Right? So this is what my return. But if I have put 1.35 million on the Bitcoin, I will buy 1,000 Bitcoin, right? Because those days the Bitcoin is 1,003, okay, in ringgit terms. So I will have purchased 1,000 Bitcoin, and 1,000 Bitcoin today will be 254 million in ringgit term. Man, I have given up an opportunity cost. What's my opportunity cost? 254 million minus 12 million. So if I have taken that route to the Bitcoin route instead of the construction route, I will got a 254 million instead of 12 million. So what I lost is called opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is something that if you have put into something else that will have given you this return, right? For example, you can choose between going to the university, let's say Oxford. You're going to pay £20,000 to do I think 45,000 pounds to get your MBA. Let's say it's 3 years, 2.5 years. Or 2.5 years, I can promote you to a manager under expat pay to China. So the expat pay maybe will give you about 150,000 a year, or you can pay 45,000 pounds. That's about another 200,000 that you pay to go to study in Oxford. Now, the 2 years that you are studying, you are not promoted. And if you go to the posting that I post you to China, you get 300,000 in return. So what's the opportunity cost? Okay? Whether you want a piece of paper or the money. So there's a trade-off and how much you could have saved and so on. Out of pocket and sunk costs. Now these are very real. So this guy renovated the hotel. Okay, so it's already sunk. The cost is there. They have put $2.5 million into the hotel in Penang. Okay, so now the business was not good until last week. Last week was good, but it wasn't good for 2 years. So they've sunk in the cost, right? But even the business was good because they were throwing the price. So can I actually use this cost, okay, and to reposition the hotel into something else? Okay, so the cost is already there, so it's committed, not avoidable. Okay. So it can be excluded from decision of future business since it's already a same, right? So now whether the hotel is continue to be a hotel or continue to become a postpartum care center, it is the same. Right? Incremental costs, it is not that you can get economy of scale. Sometimes you keep on doing things, then the cost actually incremental. It become more and more and more. Okay, so it is what like for us ramping up. So when you ramp up something, there's a little bit increase and increase. So these are the incremental costs. Okay, and controllable and non-controllable costs. There are things that within our control. There are things not in our control. Now it is a very funny thing. It's a matter of management. Now, I just want to, as an architect, I just want to look at the difference between two airports. Singapore Airport was designed, Changi Airport was designed by PWD, the Public Works Department. No superstar architect, okay? The initial one, okay? The Terminal 1, 2, and 3. Just a PWD. So, Malaysian Airport was designed by Japanese architect, okay? Kusho Kirikawa. And it is a world-class top 10 airport. So which airport will be easier to maintain? Now, I think the philosophy is very important because depends on how we control the whole thing. Now, in Singapore, the philosophy is this. All the lights in the airport, whether they are still on or not, we predict that the light will be used for, say, 15 months, 15 months. So we call a tender in a month number 9. We finalize the tender in month number 10. We do tender interview at month 11 and 12. And by month 13, 14, do planning, the works planning. And the month 14, we are going to remove all the lights and replace all the lights, sequential. So you can see this gondola or all these things, they're moving, all the hall, all the lights, whether they're still on or not, we are going to change it all. So at the end of the day, we left with only maintenance crew of maybe 4 person to take care of the whole terminal. In Malaysia, we have an engineering team of about 40 people. Instead of 4 person, 40 people. Why? We are very busy. The light bulb in bay number 4, gate 5, the light bulb flicker. Can you change it? Gate number 14, change. We change as and when the light spoil. The light spoil, we go. The light spoil, whole year we are busy. In Singapore, they'll change it every 15 months. That's it. Then you can expect nothing else. So we can control the cost by doing a philosophy. Means that whether the light is still on or not, we'll change it because we know by design, right, something is going to happen. Now, I was at Menara Mitra Land Tower, right? So during this COVID is bad. What happened? Management want to cut costs. What do? They shut down the aircon system. Did they cut costs? They shut down the escalator. Did they cut more costs? No. You see, this is what we call the vicious cycle, not virtual cycle. Okay? Hashtag virtual, VIRTUE, cycle. Hashtag vicious, VICIOUS cycle. Now, if you are management, your business is bad. What you do? You shut down all the lights. It looks dim and dark. Customer find it not appealing. What do they come? They will stop coming. So you are entering a vicious cycle. A correct way to handle things is that when your business is down, focus on getting the business, promotion, do events, activity, not cut down and make it darker and darker and darker. Most management panic. When business is bad, they shut down the PowerPoint, they shut down the aircon, they shut down everything, and the place looks dead, looks unappealing. After all the renovation, so when we control something, the cost, you have to tie in with your philosophy as well. Okay, so it is not just a matter of cutting the cost, as you know. So when we budget something, the philosophy is so important. Our understanding of cost is so important. So when we budget resources, what do? For example, we understand the fixed costs and variable costs. So this is something that I even in ABC, we were advanced business class, we want everyone to be exposed. What's the fixed cost? For example, my rental is 9,000. My utility is water, electricity, and so on, 2,000, including my internet. My salary is 32,000. Social Security, your pension funds and so on, 6,004. Miscellaneous, 3,000. So in total, it's 2,400. These are variable costs. Now, assuming my cost sold is 70% of the sales, okay? Cost of sales is 10% of the sales. Okay, the good is 70%, cost of selling is 10%. Okay, so there will be 20% margin. Am I right? So what's the revenue that is required? So the mindset will be like that. Okay, how much do I need to sell so that this whole thing become viable, right? So the revenue, then 30% of targeted sales, okay, plus fixed costs plus 2.08 million. Okay, so there's a balance. Let's say I want to make a balance of 2.08 million. So if I want to plan a profit, so the idea is that how do I make it profitable? I actually assign my profit and I calculate all my costs, add them onto the whole thing, then I know how much revenue I need to generate. Right? So these are all my burning. This is my profit. This one plus everything will become everything will become my revenue. You get the idea? Now let's say I want to have $1 million profit for that month, or $500,000 for that month. I'm doing the planning. The cost structure is very important. If I know that I'm making 20% margin, right? My goods is 70%, 10% of cost of sale, and my fixed cost is that. So my fixed cost plus my cost of sale plus my balance, that is the revenue required. So I actually work backwards. Okay? You cannot say, okay, let's do sale, minus cost, hoping there's a profit. There's no such thing as hoping for a profit. When we are planning our KPI, we plan our profit. Then we say how much revenue we must generate. Then we go all out to go for the revenue. So this is the kind of mindset. So when we budget resources, there's one thing we forget to budget. Resource is not just what you see. The other thing that we forget is actually most precious one. It's called time. And we cannot steal time unless we steal pattern. Now, when you're on the road to IPO, when you're on the way towards IPO, you're going to have something that's very, very shortage. It's time. So what do? I'm going to change everybody. One day become 2 days. Now this is called polyphasic sleep pattern. Okay, we are all monophasic. We sleep 8 hours, we work 16 hours. Okay, or we are awake 16 hours, 8 hours. Now the one that we want to do is biphasic, 2 phase. Okay, now you can do 4 like that. I try this one, not efficient because you sleep so little and then you have many nap in between. It's not efficient. Now this dimension, divide 1 day into 4. Okay, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours with 2 hours sleep, 2 hours sleep, 2 hours sleep, 2 hours sleep. It's not very efficient for me. Okay, now this is the most efficient for all the IPO people. Okay, the biphasic. So what's biphasic? Now I want you to try this. Listen to me. I only want you to try for 1 week. At least you know how this thing will affect you, and you can use this when you want to maximize your life. I'm not talking about project, I'm talking about your life. How do you like to double your life? Active life. Now, if you want to double your time, your life, now this is a biphasic, is a very, very powerful. Okay, it's the best. Now what we do, we sleep from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. 7 hours. Okay, you sleep from 10 to 5. Now this is very powerful. Now do you realize that all the billionaires, all the tycoons wake up at 4 to 5 a.m.? Right? They all wake up at 4 to 5 a.m. Now, if you want to work late because at night it's quiet like me, I like to work late. I'm an owl. Okay, burung hantu, owl. Now, but I shifted the night to the morning from 5 to 7:30. 5 a.m. to 7:30 is very, very quiet. People don't wake up so early, right? After the prayer, okay, then you can continue and do your work, right? Now, this is very, very powerful. Sleep from 10 to 5, And then this is called compartmentalization, compartment 1. So from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., okay, 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., you have the first compartment. It's 8 hours. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. It's 8 hours. Now you have a good breakfast at 7 a.m. Okay, with your family and so on. So you have one meal. Okay, one meal. Now this will be very, very healthy, right? Because you wake up, you rest a while, you have a good meal. You can have a very good glass of water. Now, but from 5 to 7 is extremely productive. Now you start to plan for up to 9. Now it's the normal working hours until 1 o'clock. So you realize that you have finished all your paperwork, you finished all the things you need to do, and you sleep again. Take a good nap, really nap. You sleep from 1 to 2. I can guarantee you when you wake up, you're going to be very, very hungry. Because our body process a lot of things. Now, this biphasic sleep pattern is very, very powerful for IPO people because you sleep like that, your body was being tricked to believe that you have slept the whole day, right? And you wake up, right? You wake up and to be the second compartment. This compartment number 2, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. is 8 hours. This is day 2. One day become 2 days. Now this is how people like us, when you want to go for examination, piano exam, okay, or training, you cut your things into 2 days. And you must sleep because when you sleep, we purge all other things from our mind. We purge, we digest. Sleep is very powerful because sleep is something the brain wave will adjust. Now you have breakfast again. This is the whole day breakfast at 4 p.m. This is your one meal. Now if you do this, you're going to have 2 meals a day, but very, very good meal. Have very, very good breakfast. You can have it heavy if you want, because you're going to have enough time for digestion before you sleep. So this is extremely good. And what you do, you sleep 7 hours again, right? You sleep at 10. Now, biphasic pattern is this. So we have 8 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 2 hours. Okay, try to keep this 1 to 7 hours because we need quality sleep, especially COVID. Anything less than 5 hours is no good, right? If you want to do 5 hours scan, 5, 3, or 6, 2. You can do 6 hours sleep and 2 if you want. But try to get the 7 hours sleep so that it becomes a bit more regular. Now, this biphasic pattern is also good because you are in sync with your children. If your children, because they want to go to school early, so you cut this and you take a nap. Now, this is also a siesta. So a lot of countries use this siesta as well. Now, this is extremely efficient. Now, if you can do this, try to do it for 1 week. Okay, then you tell me, do you feel that the 1 week is more than 1 week? But when you do your planning, do a 2 weeks calendar in the 1 week, right? So like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9, day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now you are going to live 14 days in 7 days. Seriously, try this one out. And you need this one because your team needs to have a sleep pattern for your IPO, right? And you need to be at the tip top. Now today, in resource management, when we budget resources, one thing we lack is idea. Today we compete based on idea, and idea needs to be managed, it needs to be budgeted, it's the resources that we need a lot, okay? Then that's the reason why certain countries like Dubai and Singapore, they like new ideas. Dubai like ideas in construction. Singapore like ideas in biotechnology and finance. Okay, that's the reason why they compare ideas. Every country like Taiwan like ideas in agriculture. They like ideas in science. Okay, so we need ideas. Then after that, we have to attract the talents. For that purpose, talent management, it is very important. Do not keep attracting low-cost talent or no talent, low-cost people. Always attract quality people, okay, good talents. because they will give you the competitive advantage. Right? And only then we look at capital. Now we have to budget the ideas, okay, when to do something, and talents, then only we budget the capital. Now, so let's say the idea is to do a restaurant. There's a fixed cost, the rental, utilities, staff, and miscellaneous. So what do we do? So rental is 20K, utilities 5K, staff 23K, miscellaneous 20K. You add this together, 50K. So most people will think like this, okay, 50K. But we have a renovation of the kitchen, the table, things, the machine we bought, the state, the where, the okay, the plates, the cutlery, all these are things. So we spend 600,000 on the fittings and so on. So we sign a tenancy for 5 years. This means in 5 years we have to shift. Am I right? Forget about residual value. Hashtag when you do budgeting, especially cost budgeting, forget about the residual value. Now those things will become bonus. Okay, so this means we have 60 months. 600,000 divided by 60 months is about 10K, right? So what we do, we add into this. So we have a 60,000 burn rate. And now, if the restaurant achieve 300 packs a day, now this is achieved in Kuala Lumpur, one of the restaurants in Subang. Okay, they do breakfast, they do lunch, they do tea time, they do dinner, they do supper. Okay, last time, so before COVID, we used to work very long hours, right? So 300 packs a day. So therefore, per month, because we are doing per month times 30 days, 9,000 packs. Now let's go back to the same thing again. Yeah, by 9,000, we created the thing called $6.67 per tax, and that we call cover charge. You know what's cover charge? Means someone enter the place, you know that he's to pay $6.67. Whatever you eat, I have to add $6.67 on top of the bill, right? That's the idea. So we call that a cover charge. And actually, the food cost was 40%. So average spending is $40. Food cost is $16. There's a gross of $24. Not true. Now, we have to less the cover charge of 667. The actual money is only 1733. So we are making a 43% margin. Okay? So we didn't make 60%, we make 43% because we have to deduct the cover charge. Now, once you understand the cost structure, you can do budgeting, right? Now, a hotel. So next and myself like to use this as an example because that the budget hotel syndrome. Most budget hotel in Singapore, Malaysia, and even Thailand and Vietnam, they have mistake. They do not understand the cost structure. That's why they sell the room too cheap, right? So when we go there, we realize that many of them are destined to lose money. So the fixed cost instead is 20K, same concept. Utilities 5,000, staff 27,000, miscellaneous 8,000, 60,000. And there are 40 rooms. Now, hotel room, we need to see the occupancy. So we loading, say 50%. Okay, occupancy 50%. This means every month, this is month, right? So every month, 30 days times 40 rooms times 50% is 600 room night. Okay, 600 room night. So what do? They will divide by 600 room night. They think it's $100 is the cost, right? Or 100 ringgit is the cost. So what do? They try to sell at 160, and the cost is 100. So the profit is $60. So that's what they think. And they think that $60 over 160 is 37.5%. Now this is not true. Because they forgot there's a renovation cost of 2.5 million. 5 years, 60 months. Remember the other day we talked about that? 2.5 million times 1.04, 1.04, 1.04, 1.04, 1.04 is 3 million. So per month is 50K. Okay? So it's important for us to understand that we have to achieve that amount. So this 50K per month have to be taken into consideration, it's 110,000, 60K by 50K, divided by 600 room nights, it's $184. This is real cost. The real cost is not 100, it's 184. In other words, most hotel, they didn't calculate the cost correctly. They're selling too cheap. Minus the real cost, they lose $24.49. The same thing happened to hospital. The capex for hospital is so high, and tenancy is over 7 years or every cycle. Right? So 84 months. So you're going to have a hospital, 3,000 bed. For example, let's say we do this. Let me do something like this. Let's say I go to a hospital. Okay. So let's say the renovation, our hospital set up is 120 million. It's 120 million. And the hospital cycle is 7 years, 84 months. So I need to recoup 120 million. Add in inflation over 7 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How much is that? Anyone have a calculator? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyone can count?
Eight, 87 million.
It's 178 million, 176 million, right?
Yeah. You add both of it, is it?
Or times. So this will be no, sorry, the whole thing. 176 million.
176 million.
Okay, yeah, by 84 months.
Divide by 84 months. 148,571.
176 million. Yeah, by 84 months is
148.
2 million.
I mean,
2.09 million.
2.01. Okay.
So every month. Now, let's say this hospital has 500 beds. Or let's say 800 beds hospital. Now, I don't care about loading. Right? So, and the patient come in, stay for average 5 days. Okay? I assume that you're 100% full. I assume your business is so good. So what happened? 30, yeah, by 5 times 800 bed times 100% full. How many bed? So it's 800.
4,800. 1,800.
1,800.
4,800.
So why 30 divided by 5?
That's an average 5 days. Let's say the patient stay 5 days. So effectively, it's there's 30 divided by 5 times 800 beds times 100%, 1,800 beds. So how much is this? So I have to divide this by per bed. Per bed. How much is that? 2 million divided by 1,008. So there's a 1,000,
4,008. Yeah, I got 4,008.
1,111, right?
1,000.
Or 1,002.
1163.
Huh? 1,163 per bed, right?
I think the bed per month should be
4,008, doctor.
4,008.
Not 1,008.
4,008, right?
Yeah, 4,000.
4,8. Yeah.
Okay, so divided by 4,008, how much is that? 2 million divided by 4,008.
Million divided by 4,000.
436.
Pardon?
436.
436. So this means before we talk about medical care, I have to tax 436, let's say 440 per bed to be taken back to capex. Otherwise, my hospital will become very old and I have no money to renovate, right? So again, so this is the kind of thinking that we have to get back our money, right? So and by then, because there's the time decay, so I need to get back not 120 million but 176 million. So these are the things. But what happened? Can I get 100% occupancy in the hospital? No. And when you have less, then you realize that your costs go up. You have to be realistic. So maybe some people say that the hospital gets 70%. Then you do 70%, then probably the bed here will decrease. So you have to start to think like that in a way that you can actually play with the figure. So KPI as a financial control measure is very, very powerful, okay, because we can replenish our capital. Now, then we have to create a budget. Creating a corporate budget is something that requires 6 steps to do an annual budget. So sometimes we have to track the financials efficiently. If you have a track record, look at the previous spending pattern, then we can control better. But you have to dissect it because a total spending pattern may not be the real cost. You have to see where is the cost being loaded. So many people make mistake by working out the income or revenue first, then followed by spending. Never do by income first, then by spending. Always do by reverse. The balance, that's our goal. How much profit you want. Always work from balance. Then add in your spending, then go for the income. Right? So it is always better to follow the following step, that the balance will become the goal of the profit. Right? So then we add in the thing. So this step will be quite useful. Number 1, we list down all our fixed expenditure. Okay, your rental, your mortgage. You must know roughly the average transport payment and so on. Always try to get this type of figure. Now, most CFO, if they don't take this figure, they estimate themselves. It is a fallacy because they're under pressure to deliver a budget. So what they do guesstimate, not even estimate, they guess, right? So they actually guess and they prepare a budget. Next, list down all your variable expenses. Okay, so these are the first step. Second one, how much profit target? You're on IPO program. Do you remember that we are on IPO program? We need to have profit target. Okay, so this is how we do a profit target. Let's say I am going to set up an IPO program. So my IPO program is that at IPO, I'm going to go for a 300 million IPO. 300 million. Right? At IB round, I'm going to go for, say, 190 million. I'm going to cut short the whole thing. I'm going to do a VC PE round. VC stroke PE. Oops. And this VC stroke PE, I'm going to put say 100 million. And angel round.
Can go more than half. 300.
You can.
Okay.
It's up to us, but it's not sexy, right? The whole idea is for us to be attractive, right? To give them all 100% return. But if you don't do that, then it's not attractive. But I'm just doing an example. Say my angel is 50 million. Okay. Now I know that my angel have no KPI. Am I right? Remember that we say that angel have no KPI. But my angel, do you still remember that? What is the angel? You have a PE ratio, right? So let me label it first. I label this as a V. I label this as a PE, price over earning. I label this as a KPI. Now, my angel to PE round, maybe PE say 3 times. My angel to PE round, let's say is only about, I take about how many months? I need space to put this. Let me throw this away. Say I take about 6 months to do it, and PE VC to IB, I say I put it about 10 months. I take 10 months, and IB to IPO, let's say I do about 12 months. Now we all know the accounting. In accounting, we always do by per annum. Am I right? But the fact is, my funding is not per annum. My funding is go by per round. Okay. Now let's do the linear distribution first. Let's say my IPO, my PE ratio is about 20 times. Okay, and my PE here is 3 times. So 20 minus 3, how much is that? 17.
17.
Divided by 1 round, 2 round, 3 round. 17 divided by 3.
5.6.
5.66.
5.6. Okay, we just put 5.6. So this is 8.6.
8.6.
8.6 plus 5.6 again.
14.2.
14.2. Okay, let's look at the KPI now. What's the KPI? We say the KPI is equal to V divided by PE.
KPI.
Correct? So V divided by PE. So what will be the KPI for this? So 100 divided by 8.6.
11 or 11.6.
11.63.
Okay, 11.6 million. This for 12 months. Am I right? Okay, now 190 divided by 14.2.
13.38. 13.4.
13.38. This is also for 12 months. Then 300 divided by 20.
15.
15.
Huh? 15. Now bear in mind this is KPI is per annum. Right? Oops. So what do? We have to divide by 12. It's per month. When we do planning, it's per month. So what do? Divide by 12 again. And this one divide by 12. So that is what we are budgeting. We are budgeting the profit. Am I right?
Yeah.
Whatever balance here is a profit.
cái
Now, 11.6 divided by 12, how much is that?
nửa con lớn là học này.
966. 0.966.
Nhìn nè.
0.966 million. Okay.
Kéo ghế vào.
13.38 divided by 12,
1.15. 115. 1.115.
1.115.
115.
And lastly, this one,
Biết nãy gì không Bi? Một cái công ty á, nè.
15 divided by, sorry,
Một cái
divided by
công ty
12.
á, nó hoạt động nó phải có những cái thông số này. Mình có làm nhân viên thì mình cũng phải biết, mình có làm ship
One
mình
point
cũng phải biết. Mình không có tránh khỏi nó, hiểu không?
Now we know that this is the balance, right? This is the target. So let's see what happened. Now, what do we do the budget? For 6 months, for 6 months, we are going to have a balance of 996, 996, 996, roughly 996, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Có khách nhà sao không ra?
5,
Đang làm bài hả?
6.
Hồi nãy có cái người đó là phu nhân của governor.
Okay, maybe now I adjust.
Có mua cái nhà
This is
đó này.
0.8 million. This one will be maybe 1.1 million. So I adjust it up 0.9. Okay, let's say I do that. Now this is my balance. So budgeting, we have to do a profit. The balance of profit. Now I need to do the cost. Always work backwards. Cost or expenditure. So my expenditure, I know my fixed cost plus my variable cost. Let's say I add in all my costs is about, say, 2.7 million per month. This per month. And per month. So what will be my revenue? So this is my business plan. I need to generate revenue. So 2.7 plus 0.8. This is my target. 2.7 plus 0.8. How much is that?
5.
Huh?
3.5.
3.5.
So 3.5 million. This is my revenue target. So this could probably is June. And this is July. July 0.966 plus 2.7.
3.6.
Huh?
3.66.
3.66.
3.66.
Then by August and September. Now a good CFO must work backwards from the profit target based on the financial roadmap. Based on this profit target, then we will build our budget. So this will be the spirit what we mean by set the profit goal. The profit goal is set from here. These are the profit goals. Right. These are the profit goals.
Can you turn off? I need to study for a while. Me.
So this per month for 6 months. So the next one is for 10 months. So 1.15 is for 10 months. So the next one you do is for 10 months. You have a 1.15. Your cost and expenditure, you know, right? So the only variable is your cost of sales. Okay, you have to do it in. Then you will know your profit, your targeted revenue. So once you do that, you can create a budget, set the target income or revenue. Now you set the target income or revenue based on what we identified, right? Not forgetting sales tax. A lot of people forget the sales tax and creating a budget worksheet. And make a plan. So how you can get all this revenue? What type of activities you want to do? How many intakes you want to do? How many production you have to do? You do that, right? And adjust expenditure pattern. So you want to adjust it to make it smooth. Initially, it's all jaggy. Make it smooth. And where you can cut down, you cut. So it forces you to rethink your fixed expenditure. Okay, so which are the things that you can dispose of to reduce and so on. Then finally, check it again. Fortnightly budget meeting. Fortnightly, 1 month, 2 times. Okay, you check your expenditure. You are management, you are CFO, your duty is to check, okay, on all the management. Okay, feel free to amend, but keep it in line with the annual budget. Because we know it's an annual budget, right? Don't forget, these are annual budget. This one is the annual budget. So when you move on, right, for 6 months, after that, you jump to this thing. So it is not one, a lot of people think that one line is 1 year. It's not, right? Because I may raise fund, the one before that was 3 months. Right? My co-founder was 3 months. So maybe I got co-founders for 3 months only. COF. So, but for me, before Angel is immaterial because it's proof of concept. But once I go for KPI after Angel round, Series A, Series B, Series C, and so on, I make sure that my profit goal is actually used up. Okay. Now, since we start to plan and review, a lot of us have a problem. Many of us do not understand accounting, like me. So I have to make it easy to study accounting. But the problem with accountancy school and all the business school is that they don't teach you accounting properly. So I am going to teach you accounting my way. Okay. Now this is our revenue, right? To understand accounting, this is called revenue. Remember, revenue. So this is what we get, okay? Because we have to find the revenue, right? This is the target revenue. So when we get revenue, this is not for shareholder, not for investor. This is for the company, right? So you have to minus off cost of goods sold, production costs, payment for worker, all these things to get a gross profit, right? So when you minus all this, you get a gross profit. Happy? Gross profit is also not for investor. Sorry, you won't get any money from here. Why? Because we have to minus off operating expenditure, selling, SG&A, selling, general admin expenses, SG&A, R&D, etc. So you get EBITDA, earning before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So until here, also not for investor. So you get nothing, you get nothing, you get nothing. And we have to minus off depreciation, amortization, you get EBIT, right? Because you minus off these two, earning before interest and tax. And this is also not for investor. Man, when can I get my return? No. Then you minus off taxes. Okay. So net operating profit after tax, also not for investor. Oh my God, when can we get our thing? So we minus off capex. Remember the capex? Then you get free cash flow. These are the money you can remove from the firm without affecting the whole thing. And yet it's not for the investor. Huh? Why? Because we have to have dividend policy and strategic reserve. So only this one bottom is for investor. Now this will tell you what is revenue, what's gross profit, EBITDA, EBIT, tax. I think they should teach like that in business school. And now the word money decay over time. There's a time value of money. And to compensate for money decay over time, that's why there are interest. But then in Islamic banking, we have no interest. What we do? We calculate the provision as a fee. We call fee-based banking. Okay, we charge you a fee. Okay, a fee is fixed. So, but just now I charge 4%. I know that I only 170 million. So 120 million, you must pay me back 170 million. So I can put that into a fee. So the value of free cash flow will decay over time. Now, this will be how you should understand accounting, right? And this understanding must be synchronized by the CXO, the CO, CFO. They must understand this one. Now, if you can, please capture this one, right? So that you understand for all. So with this, in conclusion, budgeting is so important. If you don't do it, you are not going to have a profit. I'm going to make the slides available. It's called Under Precession Capital, the password. Okay, and with this, I pass it to Juan. Juan?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wong. Wow, it's mind-blowing how actually we dissect and put together our capital budgeting to meet our route to IPO. So I think
Photo.
yeah, I think before I forgot, we better take a group photo for everyone. I think everyone please open your cameras so we can have a
Open your
good smiling
camera.
face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, make yourself handsome and pretty.
Yeah. Smile.
1, 2, first slide. There are 6, huh? Second one. 1, 2,